Alright, we are back for another painting video, and today we are painting the Scar Veteran on Aggradon. What a mouthful. Yeah, we're just going to hop right into it. This is, don't really have a Seraphon army. I have probably enough models to make one, but he's just a really cool model, so I thought I'd pick him up and paint him. So we're going to start with the contrast paint Pilar Glacier, and we're going to put this all over the Aggradon's skin. Give it a good shake here. It likes to settle. And this is going to be essentially our base coat for the Aggradon skin. And then we're going to use some other blues and blend into this color. And so this is going to be our color we use to blend those colors into this one. This is also, or a reason we're using this. One, we're putting it on first because it's the lightest color, but also because, or rather because it's so light, we're going to use this as our blender because it won't contaminate the other ones very much while we use it. I'm going to get it all over him though, in case we miss a spot anywhere. We'll just have this this nice blue, this nice light blue in all the nooks and crannies. Make sure to get up here on his top of his head. The spikes are going to be a blue as well. So basically, I'm just applying this all over the Aggradon skin, not on the rider, just on the Aggradon. And then we are going to let this dry this time. And then we'll come back and do the blending with the other colors. The next step, though, we will not be waiting for things to dry. We will be using multiple colors at once to get our blends looking right. So once this is all on there and nice and dry, I'll come back and we'll do the next step. All right, we are back, and our Pilar Glacier is nice and dry. And now we're going to go on to our second color, Aethermatic Blue. Just going to give it a good shake. This is going to be our middle color. Pop it open here. Get my brush a little wet. So with this, we're going to basically just pick a spot on the dude here, on the Aggradon. I'm going to pick right here. And so I'm just going to then follow this line. Here is going to get a little tricky, so we'll work on that in a second. But then we're just going to come here and sort of follow this line. Same line as that. Follow it down the dinosaur here. Like this. And then up here like that. There we go. And then all this up here is going to be a third color, but here it gets a little trickier. So basically the whole leg, get my brush a little bit wet again. The whole leg is going to be this color up until about maybe, I'm just going to kind of do that and we're going to blend it in a minute. But all this will be this Aethermatic Blue. I'm trying as much as possible to not get this on other areas of the dinosaur, because like the claws and stuff, I'd like to use contrast on them. But I can always just paint them with a layer paint first and then come back and put the contrast on them. Just want to make sure to get the whole leg here. This down here we want to keep as our light blue. Then all up here though, it's going to be this probably about to here. We're going to use this little crevice here as our line and then come across, and then the whole leg or the whole arm here will be this color. And just into there. And it's really up to you where you put these lines. I'm just trying to pick ones that kind of flow with the whole dinosaur here. And the nice thing about this guy is because he's like, you know, the two sides don't really come together. They come together right here, up here, but otherwise there's like a defined line down the center of this guy, so you can paint one side and then go back and paint the other side. So I'm going to do up here. I'm not exactly sure where my line is going to be up here on the head between this color and the third color, so I'm just going to go pretty far up here. There we go. Sorry, wasn't in camera. One day I'll learn. All right, so that looks good for this side. I will do the other side, and then we will come back and do our next color. All right, we are back, and we're going into our third color now, which is going to be Frostheart. And I'm also going to open my Aethermatic Blue and my Pilar Glacier and just have them here so that I can use them to blend with as I need. I'm just going to give them a shake, put them over here. I'm also going to move my water cup to the other side here so I don't have to reach across the camera. And then I'm going to open, like I said, Frostheart's going to be our main color. So I'm going to start by just doing the easy stuff. So everything above our Aethermatic Blue line over here is just going to get Frosthearted. This is going to be our darkest color. Just being careful around these straps here. And I am also doing the spikes on top of these scales in this color. We'll get this spike here. There we go. All right, so you guys don't need to see me paint endless spikes there. So we're going to go in now to the blend. So we're going to start off with some of our Frostheart. We're just going to paint up top first because we know that all that needs to be this color. We're just going to work our way down until we get to the line. And then we're just going to leave a little bit of a gap there, as you can see. And then we're going to take our Aethermatic Blue, which was our second color, and we're just going to drag it up into this color, like that. Wipe the brush off so we don't have too much Frostheart here. And just drag this up into this color. And then, even though we don't have any of our Pilar Glacier here, we're going to use that to blend this back in. There we go. So now, as you can see, we have a nice transition from our Frostheart down to our Aethermatic Blue. So we're going to do the same thing again. Come up here and just get good coverage on all the stuff that is at the top of the dinosaur. And then just work our way down till we get to just above our Aethermatic Blue. And rinse the brush off, get some Aethermatic Blue, and pull up into our Frostheart here. A little bit too much water is what happened there. Just a little too much water and not enough pigment. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more Frostheart because I want this line to come down farther. Tiny bit more. There we go. And then again, as you can see, we have a nice blend down from Frostheart into our Aethermatic Blue, and then we have our soft underbelly still of Pilar Glacier. So I'm just going to do this on the rest of the model. I'll let that all dry, and then we'll come back and start painting on something that isn't the dinosaur skin. All right, we are back, and all our blue is nice and dry on both sides of him. Now we're just going to do a super quick step here. I'm going to take some Doomfire Magenta and do the mouth of this dinosaur. And I think I'm going to do the mouth of the rider as well. May as well get them both done at the same time. I think the official art for this guy, this dinosaur's painted red, and the inside of the mouth is just like another shade of red. So I could have gone with a darker shade of blue maybe, but I think this will look cool. So that's what I'm doing. Just being careful not to go leak any of this onto the blue skin that we just spent all that time doing. This would be a pain to get off this blue. Just going around there, and then get in there. And we'll come back and repaint the teeth at some point, obviously, but for now, just want to make sure to get all this primer covered up. I'm not sure if I said this in the beginning, but this guy is primed with Wraithbone spray from Games Workshop. Just leaking out a little bit there. I'll wipe it off. And then the top of the mouth here. Alright, so I will paint the rider's mouth in this same color. And then I'll let that dry, and we'll come back and do the next step. Alright, we are back, and we're going to do the rider's skin now. The Scar Veteran, I suppose. We're going to use Gut Rip of Flesh for this at first. We're going to do a two-toned skin for this guy, but we're going to start by just putting Gut Rip of Flesh all over him. And most of the other detail on him is metallic, so we don't have to be as careful with this, because we will not be using contrast paint for the metallics. We'll be using actual metallic paint, which will cover over this just fine. We do have to be somewhat careful around his waist and his legs, because he does have some rope hanging, but all up here on his shoulders and his arms and all that, that's all going to be metallic color. So this is going to be our lighter color of the two, and then we're going to come back similar to how we did the Aggradon's skin. Put the light color on first, and then go to the darker color. So I will put this on the rest of this Scar Veteran, and then once it's dry, we will come back and we'll put our second color of green on. Alrighty, our green is either dry or mostly dry. Now we're going to move on to Striking Scorpion Green. Give this a good shake. Get my brush wet. And we're just going to paint all the scales with this color. And this is just a little bit less pigmented than some of the other contrast paints, so it'll kind of blend nicely into our Gut Rip of Flesh here. Is that what I used before? Yeah. Just going to be very careful, work my way across the model here. And paint these horns as well. I may come back and paint them in a separate color entirely, but for now, I'm going to do it in this. We are going to paint the Aggradon's horns, probably black, or maybe a dark red. Not 100% sure yet. So we might come back and paint these spines in as well. We shall see. But for now, just painting all these scales in this Striking Scorpion Green. Trying to avoid these ropes where at all possible. Come down here. Get the ones on his side. We'll flip him over. Get the other side of his head here. And the other side of these spikes. And then all these scales going down his back here. So you just be careful. Go down slowly. Make sure to get all the scales wherever they happen to be sticking out. And then once this is all nice and dry, I will come back and we will do the next color. All right, on to our next color, and that is going to be Basilicanum Gray, and this is going to be for the chair / saddle he's sitting on. Just going to get my brush wet here, and then just cover this in Basilicanum Gray. I think this chair thing sort of looked like it was made of stone to me, so that's why I decided to go with gray. I think the GW one might be gold, but don't quote me on that. Cannot recall. But ours is going to be gray. Just painting around these straps if possible. And I'm also going to be careful around this thing, because this is going to be our jade. There's going to be quite a lot of jade color on this guy, and so that's what those inlays are going to be. Jade. Just trying to do long strokes on this, because it is quite a flat surface, and we don't want our contrast paint pooling or watermarking, or however you want to, whatever you want to call it. Again, being careful around the strap here. There we go. So I will finish this up, and then we will come back and we may do that jade color. Trying to get, made a little bit of a mistake there, but our jade color is pretty strong. Hopefully it'll cover over that. No problem. I think I will come back and do the jade color, trying to get all the contrast colors done before we move on to any non-contrast colors. And we're coming up on it here. The only contrast colors that we have left are the leather, the jade, and the rope, I think. And then we're good to go. Of course, we will do some contrast colors here and there, like when we do their eyes and stuff like that. But the main surfaces will be done after those couple. So yeah, I'll just make sure that I got all this. I'll smooth out any parts that need to be smoothed out, and then we'll come back and do the next color. All right, we're back, and we're going to go on to our jade now, and for that we're going to use Eldari Emerald. And like I said before, there's quite a lot of jade on this guy. There's also just kind of a lot of things where you need to make a decision whether you want this to be jade or not. Like this thing, this could be gold in there, or it could be silver, or you could make it part of the jade. It's just kind of up to you. So I'm going to start with the stuff that I definitely know I want to be jade. And we'll just go from there. I could make that stuff in there jade, and I know I'm going to want these to be jade, and that's the same pattern in there. So I may go back and do that. I may also just pull up the GW one and see what they did and kind of decide from there. For now, though, I'll just move on to other stuff that I know I want to be this color. And we can always come back. And all the trim and stuff around this color is going to be gold. So you don't have to worry about being messy. As long as you're not so messy that it gets on your blue skin, because that would be a problem. The blade, I know I want the blade to be Jade. It's a very flat surface, smooth surface, so long strokes on that to get it smooth. Do the other side. Being careful not to let my brush slip onto the other side of the thing and mess up our nice smooth pattern we have here. Make sure to get the edges there. Good. Got that. If it'll focus on... There you go. Got that nice and smooth. Let's see. This gem right in the middle. Oh, his banner. I definitely want that to be... Get his banner on screen here. Careful around the feathers. That is another one of these little spot details that we'll have to do later. Is the feathers. He's got feathers in a couple places. And at first I thought the Aggradons had a feather on their tails, but this appears to just be a feather that's been added. It's just stuck in the band there. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder what the reason for that is. Alrighty, and then I think I'm going to do these raised kind of rectangle things here in Jade as well. And then the little half spheres in them will be gold like the surrounding trim. There we go. This symbol, this adornment, whatever it is, on his shield, we're going to do that this color. Making sure your contrast sits down in there. Sometimes the surface tension of the contrast will be great enough that it'll hop a gap like you see right there. Let's see if I can get it. You see right there, it's not down in the crevice there, so you just gotta push it down in there. We'll do the other side of these. Get these as well, things I talked about in the last step. Being careful not to run over onto the gray, but also making sure to go right up to the edge. There we go. And I'll get the other side as well. And then it's really just about going around the model and deciding what other things you want to be Jade and what you don't, really. I think, besides these things that I will get off camera, just seeing if there's anything new that I need to get here. And I think that might be about it. Just double checking, but yeah. If I do end up painting anything, I knew there was something else. These raised sort of shapes here. Nope, not that one. I want that to be gold. Those like segmented ones, but that raised one matches these and that and sort of those up there. So, but yeah, if I decide to paint anything else Jade, I will let you know when we come back for the next step. All right, we are back. And I will confess it's the next day, and so I don't remember what the last color we did was. But we're moving on to Aggradon Dunes. And this is going to be for the rope on this guy. And this rope is in a surprising amount of places. I thought at first there was just rope here, and then I found, obviously, there's a big chunk here, and then I found some here, and there's some on his waist, and it's just in a lot of places. So being careful around the blue skin and anything else that we've already painted. I'm going to just go in and cover this rope with this color. Don't have to be as careful around the spikes because we are going to paint them. But otherwise, I'm going to be careful. And I'm sure I'll probably miss a spot or two of rope because it's kind of scattered all over the miniature, but I'm going to try my best to get it all on the first pass. And hopefully I will. So yeah, it's not really pretty straightforward this step. Not really anything else to say. I'm just going to go through getting all the rest of the rope. Let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll do the little bit of leather on him. And then we'll do the feathers, and that, I believe, will be the last component of contrast paint for now. We'll get to move on to layer paints. So, I'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, we are back, and we're moving on to the leather. And we are going to use snakebite leather for this. I figure if good old James Workshop is going to give me a color called leather, I may as well use it for leather. He doesn't have a ton of leather on him. The saddle here, or the saddle blanket, or the saddle leather, I guess, in this case. Not 100% sure how these lizards do their stuff here. I'm going to grab that. Oh, there's a little bit of rope here. I'll touch that up later. I'm pretty sure I said I'm going to miss some rope somewhere. Well, there it is. And I'm just going to get in there and get in. This guy is very hard to keep on camera. I will let you know. I apologize if he's been off camera. I'm sure he has been at times. All right. Get that. I'm being very careful around the blue skin. If you wanted, because the blue skin takes, it's several steps and it's kind of a lot, what you could do is paint all the other stuff on and then repaint the skin white or something and then do that last, do the blue last. That would be a perfectly fine option. I chose not to do it that way, but one could do it that way. Just checking for any more leather on this guy, and I think that might be all. I missed another piece of rope right here holding his bracelet on, so I'll get that in a minute. But I think... Oh, I gotta get this edge here. Otherwise, though, I think that's all the leather on him. If I see any other, I will grab it, but I think that's it. So I'm going to touch up those couple bits of rope that I missed, then we'll come back and paint the feathers. Alright, we are back, and we're going to do the feathers now. And I'm going to do them in Luxion Purple, just to get as many colors on this guy as I possibly can, I guess. I just really like this color, and I sat here for a little while looking at him and couldn't really decide what colors would look good on the feathers. I thought about maybe white. Sorry, not on camera. I thought about maybe white or something kind of lightish and not very vibrant, but whatever. We're going with purple. If it looks tacky at the end, oh well. Get this on here. And you could also do these feathers like in a bunch of different colors because maybe they're not all from the same creature. But I'm just going to do them all in the same. And this Luxion Purple just lays down so nicely that it works well for things like these feathers that are smooth but also textured. So, all right, I think besides the big one on the tail, I think that's it for the feathers. I'm just double checking though. Don't see any others. So I'll grab the one on the tail here. And for this, because it's such a big, it's hard to get in focus. The camera keeps wanting to focus on another part. Because it's such a big area, I'm just going to paint half at a time here. So going up to that middle ridge, and then just bringing it out like that. And then same thing on the other side. If I can get it to focus on that. Maybe. More or less. And then of course make sure to get the middle ridge itself, but a little too much paint there, so I'll just wipe my brush off and then come back and there we go. And then of course flip over and do the other side. I don't know when that happened, but we'll just wipe that off. There's a little bit of a purple ring there, but no one will ever know. Hopefully. You guys will know, I guess. If I ever play with this model in a tournament and someone has seen this video who's playing against me, you can call me out on that purple ring and I'll give you an extra victory point or something. That does not go for anyone local who happens to watch this video. Only someone random who I don't already know in real life. Alright, I think that's all the feathers done. I think I'm just going to go straight into the next color. I'm just going to use some... Oh, am I going to go straight into the next color? Yes. Aggradon Earthshade. And I'm just going to use this for the wood. I guess it's wood. The stuff the spear is made out of. And the back banner as well. So I will finish this up. Let this color dry. And then I think we will come back and do the metallic. Alright, we're back and it is time for the gold, finally. There's a lot of gold on him, and for this we're going to use rich gold from the Pro Acryl line, which is made by Monument Hobbies, I believe. Yes, Monument Hobbies. So, I've already gotten some out on my palette here, and I'm just going to get to it. He's got a lot of gold, and we're just going to have to work through it. Basically, everything else on him that is still primer is going to be this color. It may require 2 coats because this the Monument Hobbies gold doesn't have the perfect coverage over this light primer. And I could have probably painted the armor a darker color first, but we'll do 2 coats. It's not the end of the world. You could also use Retributor armor that has a little bit better coverage, and it's pretty similar to this color. I just like this. The Monument Hobbies gold, Pro Acryl gold is just a finer finish. It's not as chunky on the model, so I like it. But yeah, I'm just going to go around the miniature, getting everything that needs to be gold on him, and then wait for that to dry, go back over it with a second coat where necessary, and then come back and we'll be on to finishing touches. Alrighty, our gold, I think, is done. I've been painting gold for what seems like forever, but I think our gold is done. There is going to be some more gold on this shield, but I'm going to do the inlay part of the shield first, however you want to call that, which is going to be a contrast paint, I realized. So, we're back to do that. And for that, I'm going to use Flesh Terror Red. Just continue the trend of having every color on these guys. But I wanted some red that was different from the mouths of the dinosaurs. But I did want some red on here. And the rim around the shield is going to be gold, But everything on the inside is going to be red. It's also why I didn't paint this ring gold yet, because I knew I was going to be bumping up against it with the red here. And then the main part up here, being careful around the rope. And I'm not sure exactly where the red is going to stop in here. I think that'll all be gold, but just in case, I'll paint it for now. Same with over here. And get all the way in there. There we go. Same for here. Get in there. All right. Think that will do for our red. We're gonna let that dry. I'll do the rest. I'll do the rim of the shield and stuff gold off camera, since you've already seen me put the gold on. I'll put that on there. Then we'll come back and paint the spikes and claws. All right, we're back, and our gold is all done. The only thing I added beyond what you've already seen is I painted these, if I can get it to be on camera properly, these horn covers here in gold. Now we're going to move on to the D&D Prismatic Paint Black Pudding, which is kind of a warm black, basically. You can use any warm black. I'm just using this one because I have it handy. And we're going to use this to paint all of our claws and horns and stuff. So obviously all the talons he has here, but then also all the spikes on his running down his back. And get those. And then the talons on the rider, on the Scar veteran, I suppose. And then the horns on the Scar veteran up here. And those going up there. And then these coming down his back here. If I can keep the dang thing on camera. So these coming down his back. And then finally, the last one is these spikes on the shield here. Really the only thing that we're not doing in this black that sort of resembles these things is the teeth of the two guys. We're going to use a lighter color for the teeth. So I will go through the whole model, put this on all of these, and then I'll let that dry, and we'll come back and do the last step, I believe. All right, we're back, and our claws and spines and stuff are all done. Now we're going to move on to the teeth. And for that, we're going to use this Myconid Spore from the D&D Prismatic paint line. Just going to get my brush a little bit wet. And I've already got some of this on my palette. And we're just going to go in, being very careful, and just grab the teeth. There is some of the gum sticking out below the lip here. And we don't want to paint that. We just want to paint the teeth. So just going through very carefully. Make sure my brush has a nice point on it, which it doesn't at the moment. Some of these can be kind of hard to get to. I mean, they're obviously out here in the open, but just getting the right angle to get paint on them properly can sometimes be tricky. So I'm going to do that for this guy as well as the rider up here. And then once I get that all done, we will come back and for real this time do the finishing touches. All Alright, we are back and we're going to do the eyes now. For that, we're going to use Celestium Blue first. And we're going to paint in both the eye and the eyelids. And then we're going to come back once that's dry and paint the eye itself. But for now, just going to come in and not paint the skin around the eye, just the eyelids. And do the same. The rider doesn't really have eyelids, but we're just going to paint the whole inset eye there. And do the same thing on this side. I'll wipe that off. We got a little bit on the skin itself there. There we go. And then that will really be about it. I am going to do a couple more things. I'm going to paint the eyes themselves yellow. You don't really need to see that. I'm just going to put a line of yellow along there. And then I'm going to cover the blue of the skin again in Pilar Glacier just to link it all together. But again, that's just a whole overall coverage, so you don't really need to see me do that. And then I'm going to put some Agrax Earthshade, some Null Oil on the gold armor. And that'll be about it. But right about now, you should be seeing pictures of him with all those steps I just listed done. And hopefully on a base, if I have the basic materials I need here. I guess I will have them by the time you're seeing this. But yeah, great fun to paint. I don't think I want to paint a second one. He took longer than I would have liked. But I'm anxious to get on to the riders that go along with him. But thank you everybody for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.